We're back now with our exclusive interview with Vice President Mike Pence. The Vice President reacting to the President's strong rejection of globalism before the United Nations General Assembly.
The speech at the United Nations this week by the President of the United States was historic, and it was important because in his first address to the United Nations, he gave that view of America first. And remember, he received a round of applause, which is very rare at the UN, when he said, "We will always put the interest of America first, and we expect you to put the interest of your countries first." Right. And it was greeted with applause. But yesterday, he unpacked what we've been doing as a nation, putting our country first, putting the interest of our people first. And all of it is in the context of the President, as you said, making it clear that this is an administration and a president that have rejected the globalist march that was weakening the American economy, weakening our borders and immigration laws, and moving America down a pathway of multinational trade deals that will ultimately weaken our strength for generations to come. The president's rejected all of that, but he demonstrated yesterday that as we've been strengthening our country, and we've been standing up for the belief that the future belongs to patriots and to citizens of nations, that he also made it very clear that we're back to leading on the world stage. I mean, I can't tell you how many leaders around the world have told me in private conversations how grateful they are to have a president, once again, who embraces his role as leader of the free world. And this week at the United Nations, the President laid out our agenda. He laid out what we've done for the American people, but he also laid out a determination to provide American leadership to confront some of the most intractable challenges in the world. And it's all what we call promises made, promises kept, and the President gave a full accounting of that to leaders around the planet.
And the American people, as they listen to that speech, understand that globalism is if not a dead, but certainly decaying philosophy. And by the way, he has now support of scholars and think tanks, and some of them are awakening to new possibilities because of the leadership of the Trump administration. I want to close by asking you about the direction of the Republican Party, how you're going to galvanize and work against what is a bloodthirsty Democratic Party that they seem to be winning more fights than they're losing, and the Republicans don't seem to have the same passion, the same commitment, aside, of course, from you and the President. As I look at the Senate and I look at the House, I scratch my head and I wonder, what did you all do to deserve such tepid support from the very people who should be excitedly following it?
Well, first let me say, the President and I are very grateful for the support that we've had from Leader McConnell and Republicans in the Senate. 153 conservatives confirmed to our federal courts, including 2 Supreme Court justices. We are on a pathway for a historic number of principled men and women who will uphold the liberties in our Constitution to our courts. We're also very grateful for Leader Kevin McCarthy and the way that he and Steve Scalise have marshaled House Republicans around one time after another, defending this president, defending this administration, standing strong, not just in the 2 years where we were able to pass tax cuts and roll back regulation and unleash American energy, but even in the midst of this Democrat majority in the House of Representatives, it's been House Republicans that have been in the fight. But I think, to your point, the way we're going to win this election, and I believe the American people are going to give President Donald Trump 4 more years in the White House, and we're going to put a Republican majority back in the House of Representatives, is really because of the choice between freedom and socialism. I mean, the truth is that Republicans now, under this president's leadership, have a record of how freedom works, how when we put America first, when we stand up for the rule of law, when we secure our borders, and then we unleash the economy through less taxes, less regulation, more American energy, and trade deals that put American jobs and American workers first, that it all comes roaring back. 6.3 million new jobs, unemployment at a 50-year low. African Americans and Hispanic Americans have the lowest unemployment rate ever recorded. It's an incredible story to tell about how freedom works. Freedom works when we put America first and defend the freedom of the American people. The contrast on the other side is remarkable. Lou, you and I have known each other a long time. I never thought I'd live to see the day that one of the two major parties in the United States of America would openly advocate an economic system that has impoverished millions for generations and robbed the liberties of people around the world in the last century. That system is socialism. I mean, whoever the Democrat nominee is, their party has been overrun by radical politics, left-wing ideas, and socialism masquerading as the Green New Deal, Medicare for all, and a whole range of issues that will infringe on the freedom of the American people, set us back on a pathway of economic decline. And I'm going to tell you, when we take that case, and when our team running for office for election and re-election on Capitol Hill takes that team to the American people, you give the American people a choice between freedom and socialism, they're going to choose freedom every time.
Mr. Vice President, thanks so much for your time. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Lou. Great to be with you.
All best.